joining us on Asset Television News. I am Eugenia Solomon. First, the headlines. EFCC arrests 40 internet fraudsters in Kaduna. Customs Service raised the alarm over activities of ISWAP in Niger State. Cape Verde detained 6 Nigerian tourists over insufficient funds. The detail. Operatives of the Kaduna Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC have arrested 40 individuals suspected of involvement in internet fraud across Bidda and Mina local government areas of Niger State, following credible intelligence linking them to fraudulent internet activities. According to Dele Oyewale, head of media and publicity, a range of items were seized during the operation, including 3 vehicles, 8 power generating sets, 1 Hisense air conditioner, 2 power stabilizers, 10 motorcycles, 8 laptops, 4 Bluetooth speakers, and 60 Android phones. In addition, several fetish items were recovered, including 3 calabashes adorned with feathers, traditional soap and sponge, a bottle of hot drink, 20 cowries, a waist bead, and 4 female underwear believed to be part of the suspects' ritual practices. The suspects are set to be charged in court as investigations continue. The Nigeria Union of Journalists FCT Council has called on the anti-graft agencies to help it recover monies siphoned by former members of the Executive Council. Addressing a World Press Conference in Abuja, Tony Akowe, chairman of NUJ Probe Committee, lamented that in the course of their probe, United Bank for Africa, UBA, where NUJ finances are domiciled, denied them access to details of the account despite several correspondences.
Unfortunately, the immediate past executive, led by Patrick Osadebawen, refused or failed to hand over council affairs, refused to hand over both secretariat and the financial records of council to the council. So we did not have any record of that executive to work with. However, we were able to get the audited financial report. This document is the audited financial report of the executive of the Emmanuel Ogbeche-led ESCO in their first term, that is from 2018 to 2021. That is the only document that we had. Incidentally, is a report from external auditors. So it's an audited record which had their own signatories to it. So they signed the report. So we assume that since their signatories is on the document, as having accepted it and presented it at Congress then, that they admitted that it's an authentic document. This is their signatures on this audited financial record.
He further explained that the former ESCO members are still in charge of the NUJ accounts even after expiration of their tenure.
On Emmanuel Ogbeche, being a former chairman of council from 2018 until he was given an appointment as SA Media to the Cross River State Governor, we wrote him a letter. The letter to him was delivered to his office by the secretary, and it was signed and received on his behalf. Letter was also sent to Patrick Osadebawen. The letter was delivered to his office also by the secretary personally. It was also signed and received on his behalf. Ochiaka Ugu, the immediate past former council secretary, we also wrote him. He collected his letter personally, but refused to sign for the letter. He said he wanted to study the letter first. And it is important to state that it was only Otis that showed up. That is the Chidebere Benjamin. He was the only one who showed up. To pay 24.5 million for that building. And he offered to pay in 2 installments, 14 million and then 10.5 million in 6 months later. But the then ESCO told him, they wrote him a letter that they will only accept a one-off payment. And they gave him 7 days within which to make a one-off payment. He obliged and he went to the bank personally, because we had to ask him, did you send anybody? He went to the bank personally and made a lodgement of 24.5 million into the NUJ account.
Secretary of the NUJFCT Council, Comrade Jide Oyekunle, in his submission explained that several attempts have been made by the current EXCO for a former handover, but all efforts have been rebuffed by the former EXCO members.
Still the signatory to both Naira and dollar accounts of the Union. And not only that, Emmanuel Obeche is still the SEC member of the Nigeria Labour Congress FCT Council. And by law and by procedure, the chairman as SEC member of the NLC supposed to hand over and exit the platform of NLC. So Patrick's supposed to be in charge, but he refused to hand over the baton of leadership to Patrick. Still,
Jide further said at that point, the NUJ had no other option than to approach the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC and other anti-graft agencies to help in recovering the monies in NUJ account running into millions. However, the EFCC has formally acknowledged receipt of NUJ correspondence as it promised to act fast and decisively. PricewaterhouseCoopers has announced the closure of its operations in 9 sub-Saharan African countries, citing the outcome of a strategic review aimed at streamlining its global network. The affected countries include Ivory Coast, Gabon, Cameroon, Madagascar, Senegal, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, the Republic of Guinea, and Equatorial Guinea. The move marks a significant pullback by the global professional services firm in the region. In a statement on its website, PwC said the decision was part of a broader strategy to concentrate on markets with long-term growth prospects. The Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adeni, has raised the alarm over the activities of the Islamic State West Africa province ISWAP around the Banana border in Niger State. Adeni described the activities as a serious threat to security and customs duties. The custom boss, represented by Assistant Comptroller General Hussein Kehinde Ejibunu, stated this during a working visit to the Niger Kogi Area Command on Wednesday. He said customs officers recently escaped an ambush by ISWAP members after intercepting 500 jerrycans of petrol being smuggled to suspected terrorists. On his part, the area controller for Niger Kogi, Pascal Chuboeke, said the seized fuel worth 25.9 million naira in duty-paid value was intercepted in places like the Kabe, Tunga, Madugu, and Banana Gwazo roads. Chibuako called for better logistics and communication support to help officers patrol more effectively amid the rising threat from terrorists. Asset Television News will return after the breather. Stay with us. Thank you for being there. If you are just joining us, you are watching the news on Asset Television. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission has raised concern over the detention of 6 Nigerian tourists by immigration authorities in Cape Verde. According to a statement issued by the commissions via its X handle on Wednesday, the group, which traveled from Senegal to Cape Verde for vacation, was stopped on arrival and accused of not having sufficient funds before they had their mobile phones confiscated. The tourists, identified as David James Udo, Lily Dada, Oigenero Adeware, Sherifat Abimbola, Ogundairo, and Jesutomi Aina, were reported to have subsequently been locked up in an immigration deportation camp at the airport. NIDCAM stated that reports indicated that the group is currently experiencing distress, with one member reportedly suffering from a poor medical condition and being denied access to necessary medication. NIDCAM called on Cape Verdean immigration authorities to handle the matter with respect and dignity and put them on the next immediate return flight to Dakar for onward connection back to Nigeria. The drop in crude oil prices and the resumption of the Naira for crude arrangement for local refiners may push the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, further down to about 800 Naira per litre in the coming weeks or months. Well, this comes as the Dangote Petroleum Refinery reduced its ex-depot price for PMS to 835 Naira per litre, its second downward adjustment in less than 7 days. Industry players, however, point out that the 800 Naira per litre price could be achieved if crude drops further to $50 per barrel and marketers depend less on foreign exchange to buy products. Also on Wednesday, the Dangote refinery again slashed its refined products prices to make them cheaper, cutting its ex-depot rate for petrol to 835 Naira per litre. The new price represents a 30 Naira reduction from 865 Naira per litre implemented 6 days ago, marking a 3.5% decrease and a 45 Naira reduction from the 880 Naira per litre sold for the facility last Wednesday. With that story, we end the news. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms for more updates and programs. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Eugenia Solomon. Thank you for watching.